Ooh. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to another scene set within Chronicles of Darkness. Vampire the Requiem, a Requiem for London. And tonight we have... That was a very strange noise. Tonight we set our scene within Kensington Gardens. Not the roof gardens this time. A large array of very well looked after gardens that exhibit the artistry of horticulture from various nations and cultures across the world. It's quite a sight to see, and a suitable place for Elysium. The surroundings are colourful, yet serene and calming. There is the vibrancy of life that Kindred are known to lack. It is nostalgic in a sense, but also a reminder of what those present are not. In addition to the beautiful flora, there's also an array of rather exotic fauna. Various imported animals inhabit the gardens, and they make for casual entertainment in observing them. In some places, in some ways, this place is as much a zoo as it is a garden. Hosting is the Keeper of Elysium, Murph Caliborn of the Circle, one of a few kindred to control domain outside of allocated territories. The gardens very much being considered her territory, or at least so she claims. At the very least, this place is considered Elysium, and she is currently the keeper, one of them. The gardens are well secured. They are large, but the security presence is significant. And while you could find a quiet place to sit down and have a private chat, any audible disturbances you imagine would quickly be noticed and pounced upon. There is a wide variety of kindred. The prince has not yet arrived, but the court of Primogen is present. The full court. Various neonates and ancillanos struggle to find room to just have a word to themselves. The main event appears to be happening more towards the center of the gardens. Some kindred are beginning to filter out so they can associate themselves with their chosen circles. Which leaves it all in the center of the garden, or the gardens. Let's start with Natalia Belenko. What is Natalia Belenko doing, and how presentable is she this evening?
Oh, she is very presentable. She is wearing her finest. Small, I don't know, ladies' handbag, purse, and certainly someone. Well, quite a few people would approve. And she's trying to look her best for her, everything. Clan, coterie, well, not coterie, but covenant. And probably some people within the covenant. Again, affiliations between her and them long story, but yeah, she's looking her absolute finest, but she's not talking to anyone, not right now anyway. She's just looks a bit out of place, a bit.
A bit isolated.
Yeah, that's probably a good way of putting it.
Something you notice in particular is that the various maquettes of the city seem to be very much out in the open this evening. And much like you are wearing their finest, very much out of character for them.
Oh, goody.
Your sire is, of course, present.
Even better.
He is mingling with various Invictus luminaries, including one of the provision, Dennis Faust.
Natalia is doing her best to just speak when spoken to, and, well, at least she's going to try to.
Of course.
Appears as though she is maybe being seen, but not stick out too much.
Of course. Roll me present socialize to blend into the crowd and look as if you're one of the club.
Alright, there we go. Presence socialize, I believe that's 3 dice.
Your striking looks does help you here. It is always easy. It is. People always want to associate with the pretty people.
That is the thing. That's actually 6 dice. Wow. Okay.
You might not horribly fail.
I have 1 success.
You could make it more. Although you only need the 1.
I have 2.
Okay. Then you blend in as well as you can. You are fairly unpracticed at this, but your good looks and winning smile help you to find at least a group to latch onto and not just look like a poor lost little lamb in a sea of predators. But moving on to Marcus Irons. Marcus, you are new to this domain.
Yep.
But you have been told, if you wish to introduce yourself to the city and the circle, this is the place to do it.
Very much so. So Marcus, let's put it that way. His face is definitely weather-beaten. The clothes he has on all look very worn, as if they were second or even third hand. He seems clean today and even cleanly shaven. His eyes wander over the crowd as he's slowly, very measuredly walking around, trying to get a sense of who is around, what the atmosphere is. Wearing a leather jacket, having a shawl around his neck, and anyone who comes really close to him will, well, how to describe it? There's definitely the whiff of well-worn and clothes. I don't want to say it smells of piss and whiskey, but you could swear somebody tried desperately to rub those smells out of the clothes and has only partially succeeded.
Is there blood on your clothes? Or traces? It doesn't have to be visible.
There is no blood on his clothes. They seem clean enough, but definitely there are at least 3 holes in his jeans that have been recently sewn closed. And the boots he's wearing are military boots. However, on the top half, there is some gorilla tape that is keeping it all together. On the whole, it doesn't look as if this fellow has a lot of cash. That's for sure.
Okay. When you approach, security is not aware of who you are, so you'll be asked if you'll be taken into an enclosed space. Looks to be an empty waiting room. You do not resist, I assume?
No. Sin, he will be aware and have at least enough information to know that this is an Elysium, so he will comply, and he'll even crack an odd joke, trying to be jovial.
Okay. You wait for a few minutes, and eventually the woman in my overlay will begin, will walk into the waiting room where you are. Security remain outside. She approaches you, sniffs you. Doesn't really sniff you more than she sniffs the air around you, and looks down at you as you sit.
He looks up to her and gives her a nod. Good evening.
Well, I can only imagine how you made your way to London.
Let's just say the the weather wasn't very good to me. But then again, it's hard for our kind to freeze to death. As he flashes her a grin and his rather sharp canines come into focus.
She flashes you a grin with her own fangs, something, your statement resonating with her in a way that you don't quite understand. And she says, "Well then, if I may have the pleasure, I am Keeper Mirth Caliborn of this Elysium."
At which point he'll stand up, nice and straight, give her a bow, and in this case, may I introduce myself? Marcus Irons of Clan Ventru.
I could tell.
Of the Ordo Dracul.
Now that I have guessed.
Yes, I know my less than nice threads, and he slightly looks at the jacket. Well, it's. I won't lie, I'm not the most affluent of kindred, but planning to change that.
Affluence is unnecessary for success, but it always helps.
It does. Then again, when you start from the bottom, there is only one way, and that's up.
That is very much true. Something many of my circle would understand better than most. But if I may ask, have you been introduced to His Majesty the Prince? Are any of your clan aware of your arrival, or are you a spontaneous guest to our domain? She phrases it charitably.
He looks at her. There is a certain amount of calculation in his look, like somebody who has been cheated just once too often. I am very new to this city. I'm lacking in certain informations, but I do know that it behooves me to present myself to the prince. I've only been in London for a night now, so that's why I'm here. trying to introduce myself, trying to get the okay from the big kahuna, and, well, if I'm lucky, he just might tolerate me.
The prince is a very tolerable man, depending on who you are.
I'm more than happy to help out. Pardon me.
Your peculiar scent may discomfort him. Although you are lucky to arrive on the night of Elysium.
Well, sadly, I don't have any better clothes that I could throw on. These are literally my best rags and any grimaces.
Well, I very much wish you luck in your cause. I'll very much be watching with anticipation. She flashes you a smile.
Thank you. I'll take every bit of luck that I can get.
Yes, you may wish to speak with your clanmates. I'm not aware of many within your particular covenant. There is Miss Thatcher, and
he nods, listening attentively.
Miss Paquette as well.
Paquette, gotcha. Yeah, will be interesting meeting others of my clan and covenant.
Well, most of them are a part of, I'm sure you can predict what particular faction they tend to gather around.
The unconquered ones, most likely.
Ah, yes, so they like to call themselves. Perhaps the most misleading of their proclaimed titles.
Yes. Yeah.
Still, it is very much true here. You said you lacked information on the domain. The Invictus have controlled this city since the late 6th, 7th century. My memory fails me. But yes, by all means, head on in.
Well, I'll try my best. The worst that can happen is that they shoo me away like the bum that I am.
Oh no, far worse can happen, my dear.
Don't worry. I know I have at least heard the rules how to behave myself in an Elysium. So I'll be the last person to cause you trouble. You have my word on it.
We shall see whether it is kept. She allows you in, and we'll return to Elysium. Joshua Bainforth.
Yo.
What's up, Master? Did you bring an elephant in? Into Elysium?
No. Joshua arrives to Elysium dressed in blood-stained armor.
Interesting.
His own armor and covered in his own blood.
Fascinating.
He hasn't washed it.
It is not the blood of the manatee, then.
I mean, if you kill a manatee, Bishop, I know where you fucking live.
I mean, you want to keep a manatee, you're a vampire.
Nah, but he arrives in his own blood-stained armor, his own blood-stained combat armor. He has healed. I'm gonna heal some of the damage he took, but a lot of it still remains. So how much would I have to heal so I don't take wound penalties?
How much damage do you currently have?
He was sitting on. He took 4. He took 4 lethal.
4 lethal. With 4, so you start taking impairments on when you hit your third to last health box, that's -1. Second to last is -2. The last one is -3. So right now, you aren't quite wounded enough to suffer from any serious impairments. However, the damage is significant enough for it to be fairly visible.
Yep, he will. Then he won't have healed. He will come in ravaged and torn up and bloodied.
Okay.
But holding himself relatively high, like he has his hands clasped behind his back, and an odd kind of "I'm gonna get a motherfucker" in his eyes.
All right.
So yeah, all the vampires immediately like blood, 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 blood.
Yeah, all the kindred look at you when you enter Elysium. They smell the blood. They smell the dried blood in your armor. They do not necessarily give you charitable looks. They're not sure how to take this entrance. On the one hand, you look proud, dignified. You wear armor because you look very much like a warrior. But displaying blood like this can also very much be interpreted as a brazen intent to induce instability and frenzy in others. So they look at you curiously. It's a very mixed response. Some look at you borderline furious. Few look hungry. Most are uncertain and give you something of a wide berth. Not necessarily out of fear, but I'm not sure they want to associate with you just yet. It's like they're weighing you up.
So he will stride through the room. For the record, if he has been checked probably before he came in, considering his rather odd appearance. So he doesn't have any weapons physically on him. He will have given up whatever weapons he had. But basically, he will stand in a position whereby it is very obvious that he is there, and he will in the inner sanctum where the La Politique is going to kick off. He won't stand with anyone. He stands very much by himself in a position where he is noticeable, if that makes sense.
You're going to stand in a place where you're not noticeable?
No, I'm going to stand in a place where he is very much noticeable, but he's not standing with any group.
Okay. A quick thing to mention to all of you. You all feel a serene calm wash over you when you enter this place. It is perhaps why no kindred has yet lunged at you, Mr. Bainforth. But you will actually be approached by the keeper. The rest of the characters can see this, given that Mr. Bainforth's making himself noticeable. And she approaches you quite directly. She's inquisitive but serious. And she says, "Would you mind explaining to me why you have entered my Elysium covered in blood?"
He looks to the keeper, and his eyes, his eyes have that same steely resolve, and he will say, "I would have it seen, and I would have it known, how some members who claim and give lip service to this court would treat those upon the prince's errand, would treat those upon the prince's business. I would have them see."
Roll me presence expression, as he seems to be making a fairly open statement.
He is, in fact. Will showmanship apply?
This is more oratory.
Cool. In that case, first willpower of the evening. Oh no, they're going to be popped like candy. You have no idea. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, hang on. 1, 2, 3, 5 successes.
1,
Oh no, 7s aren't successes here. 1, 2,
Sevens.
4 successes.
4 successes, almost unexceptional. However, you do get a success, and quite a lot of them. The crowd changes from one of mistrust and anger to intrigue. They are very much now interested in the subject that you speak of, although none have yet to ask. None have yet asked. And the keeper, she sizes you up. She is perhaps the person that looks the least convinced. In fact, her expression has not changed. You see, she looks you up and down. I was just have you know that the responsibility of bringing such potential disruption into the Elysium remains upon you. That's all I would say.
He will look at her and he will say, I have brought nothing that is not mine. This is my blood. This is my armor. I have brought nothing that I will not keep and that I will not own. I will own the action as I own the blood.
And if you are in a less hospitable Elysium, you may not be able to retain it.
Then he looks at her and flatly says, then I die. My soul goes to God. I am unafraid. And he means that with every fiber of his being.
Marcus is having a hard time ungluing his eyes from this warrior.
Then you will die braver than most, and she will walk away. But she does not interfere with your business any further. She does not impose anything upon you.
Neat. On a side note, Bishop, I'm sorry if I threw that curveball. I was like, no, he's fucking showing up in the bloody armor. Fuck it, why not?
It's legit. Should be noted, the blood doesn't look particularly tasty at this point. It's lost most of its flavor. It's been some time, but
oh yeah, no, absolutely. But it still has all of the message there that the blood was shed, that it is there. You know.
Yes, it's the main factor is that Kindred can smell it and perceive it quite sharply. But we this point, several Kindred will begin to approach you. Firstly is this woman. You actually know this woman. She is of your covenant. She is a crusader. Not very old, but kind of seen as an up-and-comer. Looked quite favourably upon by Bishop Castile as a rising talent. In some ways similar to yourself, although a bit less social and a bit more physical. And she approaches you. She's well dressed. She's not dressed in armor like yourself. She's not here for a fight. And she says, I'm curious, Mr. Bainforth, who has done this to you? Who spilled your blood when you asked in the name of the prince? In the name of your faith? after this Elysium, I'd wish to see it shared in equal measure.
Who is this person? Sorry, I stepped away for a few moments.
This person, she's a young crusader neonate, goes by the alias Arturia. If she has a mortal name, she's either cast it aside or simply doesn't tell anybody.
And what did she say?
She has asked you who has shed your blood while you acted in the name of your faith in the prince's name. She would see to it that post-Elysium it would be shared back in equal measure.
He will raise his hand and he will say, once again, because I sense that all eyes are upon him, he will say, "We who are the sword must be sheathed until we are let loose by our master's authority. Until we are given our master's word, the sword will remain still. We wait the master's word." Very publicly saying, I am in the prince's Elysium, only by his word can we shed blood.
Okay.
At least here.
A very well-dressed woman, Natalia, you have met this woman just hours ago. A very well-dressed woman, a black suit, tie, lovely-looking cane, it sort of has a Mediterranean complexion. Appears to be walking with Mr. Stanford. She just sort of casually comments as you say this. And if I may suggest you inform your Archbishop of this notion, you do so with much haste. You are a few centuries late.
Yes, and what is the modern world but sycophants and toadies who speak little and who speak much and know little? Old ways endure, the new is swept away.
If anyone is standing near Natalia, she's heard the back end of this. She didn't hear all of it. She just goes, "Oh yeah, sure. This is going to end well."
Marcus gives this fellow a small standing ovation and claps quite enthusiastically.
He looks at the woman and says, "Some of us knew the blood when Longinus stabbed Christ upon the cross. Some of us knew it in Rome. Some of us knew it long before jackboots marched in Berlin. Before the likes of Maria Le Pen spat hate in Paris. Before it was, the old endure, and what is new is swept away."
And yet perhaps that is the floor in which you speak. You speak only of stabbing and destroying, and not of building. She says it with a fairly even tone.
He holds out his hands. "Look around and see what the old have built, whom have ruled this city with the grace of God. Because if they did not have the grace of God, they would not sit in its rulership."
When you say that, the keeper does interject, and she says, "I built this."
"Indeed, and you are a child of God." By the way, there are a bunch of people outside who want to get in. Sorry, I'm reading the chat.
Oh God, have I forgot? Wow, that's how. I don't control the stream. I don't know. I have an excuse.
Yeah, you have an excuse. GG, Bishop. GG.
I'm actually not to blame.
I'm sorry.
It's fine. So as this confrontation is happening, and Natalia is just kind of has her head in her hands as she expects somebody to die.
She's looking for a drink.
By the way, let me know when I have to make my next expression roll to win the crowd over.
Mm-hmm. This one will be contested. But who should we start with? We'll start with David Morris. You enter this Elysium, this rather beautiful sanctuary to nature of all kinds. You are very much expected. You are known to the circle of the crone in this city. And you are led into the Elysium without issue. Security don't even bother to pat you down. They trust you enough to not make a fuss within this Elysium, given that the crone are the ones running it. And you walk in with such timing as to hear this an armored man standing in the center of the garden, proclaiming that an acolyte of the crone is a child of God. Mr. Goodman, you are very much witness to the same thing. You have a few seconds later than Mr. Morris, you are pat down quite extensively. Very extensively, more so than the average person.
Goodman will look exasperated seeing the display and more of anything seeing the blood and the armor. And he will be looking a little bit oddly tonight as he walks into Elysium, as his wrists are handcuffed together by it looks like seemingly more sturdy than usual protective cuffs, restricted cuffs, as he walks in. But he doesn't say anything too much. It's more than just making sure that that he can see other members of the Ordo at Elysium today.
Are there any other PCs that comment or have thoughts on the situation? They are free to. You're all free to interject at your leisure.
I know that I got a round of applause from one of them.
Yeah, from Marcus. You actually got some applause.
Then the keeper simply states, "You are correct, I am a child of God, just not the one you would predict."
He looks at her and he says, regardless what name he wears, regardless what mask he wears, he is God. The name means nothing.
Then I assume you have not spent much time among your sorcerer caste, though with no names mean much.
He contemplates that for a moment. He says, a name given upon the soul is different to a name that is used by those who do not understand such things.
Then I see that you and I have a very different perspective on the nature of understanding.
I would be more than happy to compare notes at some point. It's very difficult to tell because it's the same kind of stony, I am fucking militant faces just made it. It's difficult to tell how sarcastic he's being.
She actually lets you have the last word. She doesn't say anything else.
Winning!
But she doesn't really feel the need to interject further. It's almost like she wished only to contest a certain point. Not really the larger point that you are making. The Karkians, on the other hand, my apologies, I have not given you my name. I'm Nova Morales. Clan Venture.
I've heard her
No,
name
not
mentioned
names.
before, I think, haven't I? Is she the guillotine one?
No, she's the one that made the statement regarding the incident that took place. She effectively represented the Carthians in that regard. It was on the rumor thread. She was quoted as saying that this is what the Carthians think, this is what we have, this is what we're going to do.
Joshua will incline his head and he will say, Joshua Bainforth, your servant, madam. He's waiting to see if she jumps on the servant line.
I'm glad to see that civility and respect still remains within this place.
Ultimately,
oh,
sorry, you can do.
No, she allows you. She will not interrupt you.
Ultimately, I have been done a grievous hurt. It is not you who has inflicted this hurt, and I shall hope this night that you come in order to assure our prince that his will be done.
We did come to discuss the incident, yes. I do not wish to apply such a black and white verdict here. I believe it would be unfair to those that have not yet made their faces public.
So you defy his edict, which is black and white, written in stone.
That doesn't sound very common of a Maquette way of thinking.
Do you say that?
Yes. He is a Maquette, if I remember right, correct?
The prince is a Maquette, yes.
Yeah, so thinking black and white, so that seemed odd for a Maquette.
But not uncommon for those of the tower.
Marcus,
In any case, In any case, we have made no such claim. We, of course, do not wish for relations with the rest for Princeton and his courts to sour over an issue that could have been entirely avoided. It would have been, well, we do not wish to escalate the situation to further bloodshed, while other than the fact that it would ultimately simply be unacceptable. It would also be highly cruel and foolish. It would cost the lives of many.
It amuses me how, in so many words, you sanitize murder. You say issues. You say words and lines to deflect from what truly happened when one of yours snuffed out the life of an innocent without the approval of this domain, and in doing so made himself our enemy. By the prince's edict, made himself our enemy. Actually, he'll say themselves because he doesn't actually know the gender of the person. It is easy, I assume, to sanitize murder, to make it seem like it is not but a trifling thing. However, a life extinguished is still a flame that no longer burns. it is still something that needs to be righted. Do you not feel sympathy for the girl who now must endure the ceaseless hunger because of an act of depravity by one of yours? Call it what it is.
Uh,
That is a very serious accusation. What evidence do you have to suggest that one of ours created the revenants?
The word of one of your own, witnessed and sealed by 3, 2 among the Lankea, 1 among the Ordo.
Furiously making notes on paper napkins.
And your response to this was to strike down those who had no association with this particular incident?
Not at all.
It
It was them who struck first. My blood was shed.
Now I know that to be untrue.
Okay, I'm actually going to stop for a moment because I put my hand on one of them. I didn't strike him.
Yeah, but it was a dramatic failure.
So I mean, I'm trying to did I actually punch him?
Yeah, he would have won on initiative, but you would have looked like the aggressor.
Okay, in that case, rewind.
You might not necessarily have been the aggressor, but that is how you would be perceived.
Okay,
so you're not necessarily lying. It's just the nature of a failure makes you look as if you are. So you don't have to roll for subterfuge.
You know what? This is the moment. He turns to the group and he takes off the coat that he's wearing over his shoulder, so you can see the armor, which is all rent and torn up at the neck. It says, "I identified myself to my assailant, and I said I was on the prince's business for his anointed archons. I pushed him so that he would stand back from me and his threatening behavior, to which he attacked me like a dog would attack a man. He sought that night to end my life and drove one of my companions into torpor. It cannot be said that his intention was not to render us on to final death. I will have justice tonight. I have been wronged. I have been bloodied. My friends have been wronged. They have been rent and torn. And you hide behind the act of murder as if it is a clean thing. But then again, I'm sure that when they were sent hand in hand to the gas chambers, your kind said something similar." And can I make my check to sway the audience?
Yeah, she's No, actually, in that last comment, you sense the beast font stand for bristle. Everybody does. It is a very heavy beast. He does not lash out, but it is clear he is riled. And he says, "How dare you? How dare you equivocate us to such atrocities as your kind have wiped out entire cultures over multiple millennia? How dare you, as to this night, you persecute those beneath you. You persecute those beside you. You persecute those who simply wished for an explanation as to why you were within their domain, their feeding grounds, and you dared to strike them, and you were reduced to ravening beasts, you and your partner both, and you dare call us dogs. You dare equivocate us with such cruel monsters, while a madman runs your organization from on high, and you do not utter a word." He is furious. Anger permeates every aspect of his voice.
"I am wronged. I am bloody." He looks towards him, but I can maintain my control.
And yet you did not see so before. So you, at this point, you may roll expression, presence expression. You are no longer fighting Nova.
I'm no longer what, sorry?
You are no longer contesting Nova.
Why am I not?
Stanford is contesting you now.
Hooray!
Because he is furious. I'm actually going
Um,
to check his stat line for this because I didn't expect him to actually be able. I did expect him to actually do this. Regardless of win or loss, you have definitely gathered support here for your case today. Because you have made a very impassioned public speech and you've already won over 2 people to your side. And certain interests are already vested in you.
Okay, so now I'm going to ask, do I get bonus dice from either A, the speech, or B, the entire bloody haggard appearance?
You will get +2 dice.
Nice.
Because your speech was very well done. And your haggard appearance helps, kind of helps with the theme of what you're saying. You're very well presented for the subject that you're discussing. Normally that would require fashion, but in this case, it is just simple, good judgment. I'm actually going to check his stat line because I'm not entirely sure what it is, so I'm just going to double check what he has.
You take your time.
Yeah, when this is happening,
You may apply your city status to this.
Ooh.
Because yes, this is everybody from the city here is listening to what you say, and you are a respected voice. You have city status. People listen to you.
Oh, Bishop, we have to get the... I'm so tempted to try and burn... I'll even burn the permanent dot just to have the Archbishop show up and be like, crazy am I? No, he's
unlimited power.
I mean, question, can his face claim be Ian McDermott as Palpatine?
I am tempted to change it. No, you are mad!
Just use it like level 5 nightmare to make it feel like you're being shocked by electricity, it's fine.
Level 5 psychokinesis electricity. Okay,
I'm just waiting for you to get his pool so we can roll together.
You make your roll now. I'm going to double check what he has because he has some merits that do relate to social stuff. I just need to remember what they are.
I need to see if I do. I might actually.
Yeah, I know you're a very social character, and you usually have some social merits to help you, but I'm not sure if you have any that relate to this specific situation. No, he doesn't have any of those.
as this is happening, Julian.
Yeah, this is a good opportunity for other PCs to take an action.
Yeah, as this is happening, Julian will actually walk over to Natalia and say, "Are they not aware of their member that's been accused of causing remnants too?"
Yeah, I'm not going to butt into anything happening right now. I'm just going to keep my head down and not say anything.
And there is a mixture of a shake and a nod out of Natalia.
For a person who's just gotten his legs back and working condition, I'm not telling you what to do, what not to do, but just saying like maybe discretion is the way to go right now. I know that's my kind of MO, but just a suggestion.
And he simply says, "This is the bloody madhouse. He is raving madness in the middle of Elysium, a time that we're supposed to."
Like I said, this is not going to end well.
And rolling.
Actually, wait, should I?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Plus 2 rollover. That is with willpower, by the way.
Okay.
16 dice.
Yep.
Oh god, oh god. Oops.
Did you just close the important thing?
I accidentally snapped away from the important thing. Because I am silly.
If it helps, you're also pretty.
Aw, thank you.
You're welcome. Sometimes you just need to be told you're pretty.
Yes. Okay. So he gets plus...
All this roll's getting figured out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, sorry, I have to read this comment from British Anthony. Evan, I want you to do me one favor. What? Get those commie bastards.
Okay, so... Yeah, he only has a couple of things that affect this. He has, I'm going to check equipment real quick, because I know he has equipment that gives him bonus dice to this. Because fashion!
Fashion!
Fashion actually gives you bonus dice in the correct environment. Let's see, social equipment is cash, disguise, and fashion.
I should have bought
Like
some
how-
fashion.
I like how cash is just social equipment as in, like, his money.
Is it literally like making it? Is it literally making it rain for extra dots? Just like.
Yeah, this is... he does have a lot of fashion. So he does get a lot of dice on that, and he gets 1 dice from a certain other merit as well. He also has some city status, as he is an elder. The city still respects him just for that alone, and the fact that he leads a whole covenant. But not as much as the other covenants, because the Carthians don't have a position at court. So he gets... Okay.
Oh shit! Hang on. I need to reroll 110 that I didn't reroll. That I only had 2. I have 3. Yep. Ooh, so it's actually 8 successes.
Ooh.
Final service.
Bring it to my face!
Oh. Wow, the court is split right down the middle.
Oh, did he equal me?
You both get exceptional successes.
Excellent.
So the court seems very evenly split. Because you're both correct. And both people have reason to believe the other side. The fact that Stanford felt the need to intervene definitely draws whispers. Because in many cases, well, in many ways, you are punching up, which is unusual for Carthians to punch down in this situation. And the whispers that quickly begin flooding the court. It's almost as if everybody but Stanford and Joshua hear them. Natala, you very much say this right. This isn't the first time the Carthage have pulled some shit and are playing victim. Or he's the fucking victim card. And Morris, you hear, how many times are the Invictus going to send down random goons to bully the Carthage until they get the fucking point? You think Lancair would know better than this. There's a lot of... There's a very even divide in the court. Surprisingly even. It's almost too close to call, like, who has majority support, because obviously people aren't putting their hands up to vote. You would, however, imagine that ever so slightly more people are sympathetic to Joshua. As
It makes
he's
sense.
scored 2 additional successes.
It also makes sense because the Carthians and the Invictus and the Invictus and the Lancaea are the 2 bigger factions.
Oh shit! I actually forgot.
Huh?
He does get an additional dice. Okay, he's got 1 more success. So it is a razor's edge. One could say it's 48 to 52.
I mean, by God, if that's enough to get Trump elected president.
Oh my God, was it? What's the word of 48 to 52? This is so weird. This has been a weird decade. Yeah, it's the court's more or less evenly split. There might be a ever so slight majority in favor of Bainforth's opinion, but it's not as if this is a democracy anyway.
Also, you know what? Joshua smiles, and the smile does crease his face, and he says, "And I'll be more than happy to tell His Eminence your opinion of him."
It has been known for some time. He's not exactly known for his pleasantries or compassion.
Yeah, but he might be known to be good enough to have you murdered in your sleep, you commie prick. Anyway.
As this madness is happening, Julia's got to do something dumb. On 2 blood, I'm fully healed, but yeah, sure, why not?
Oh yeah, how much blood do you have in your system right now?
I have 2 because I used up my herd. Because I healed up on my people, then I used my herd.
Oh yeah, it should be. Oh yeah, I did forget to mention there are actually vessels within the garden. People who appear to be idly sitting down, not really moving. They only really react when somebody touches them. And they have been fed upon some of them. There's a healthy number. Obviously, you're not meant to kill them, but it's unclear what the punishment is for killing them.
I've already caused enough issues for today. I'll just make sure to take enough to be at 5 blood. So
actually, I also need you, because we didn't cover it in that scene, Julian, but I need you to roll detachment now. It is important.
Yes, it is very important.
It is a humanity 3 check.
Humanity 3 check.
So let me check the dice you get for that real quick, because this is important, because I'm going to ask you to roll for frenzy next.
Yeah, okay.
And if you do suffer detachment, well, it may impact that roll.
Hashtag bad news bears.
It's been all bad news bears for poor Julian. So I'm just going to check Manatee! The humanities. This is why you need a manatee. It is a great touchstone.
Oh my God, Bishop! I have a plan that involves a manatee being a touchstone now.
Okay, so you roll 2 dice plus your touchstone. Plus your touchstone modifier. So if you have 1 touchstone, that's plus 2 dice. If you have more than 1 touchstone, it's plus 3 dice.
Okay. Oh,
Oof, that's a fail.
Oh. Okay.
yeah, these dice.
So when you realised you killed, well, it's kind of only really hit you when you left the Ravenscourt Park. It took you a while to process, just because you weren't really in it. You were too busy healing, remembering what happened, processing what happened. But you just don't really care all that much that 3 people died. That might make you feel guilty, but it doesn't change the fact that you didn't initially feel very guilty. In all honesty, part of you was just happy to not be hungry for a night. And here you are again, hungry again. So you lose a humanity point.
No.
And normally when one loses humanity, it not only becomes harder to relate to mortals, but the beast gains a bit more control over them. For the gangrel, this is so much more true.
That is true.
When a gangrel's conscience fades from them, the beast doesn't just begin to creep into their soul, it grips it. It sinks its fangs and its claws in. And what is human and what is...
Somebody's asking to be let back into the room. Sorry. Continue.
And what is human and what is beast becomes so much less clear as it seeps into every fibre of your blood. You now suffer under the feral curse. And that is not something, not even a coil of the Dracul can ever remove. That said, it is not yet apparent, necessarily to Julian, that this has occurred. And I'm going to ask you to roll Resolve plus Composure now because, well, you're very hungry. And there are vessels.
What does the gangrel's curse do again?
Oh.
Their dice to resist frenzy is capped by their humanity.
Oh dear.
So if you're humanity 6, like Julian is, he can only ever roll 6 dice, even if his Resolve plus Composure is 8 dice. At low humanity levels, it becomes quite debilitating. As your Resolve plus Composure 6 dice?
Yep.
Okay, I was going to say you lose 2 dice because you are... No, you lose 4 dice.
Ah.
So I'm going to ask you to re-roll that because starving is a -4 modifier to Resolve plus Composure checks.
Okay.
Which is a sad thing because you did roll 2 dice and you got a success. And now I feel bad.
Roll it. Should I take that roll or roll it again?
I'll actually be nice and say you can take that roll because it is the dice pool you were going to have to roll anyway. And if you look at the 60-10, you would have succeeded with 2 dice on that as well. So you effectively rolled the same dice twice and got a success on both of them. So I'm not going to be mean and say 3rd time's a charm. So you do manage to resist. Barely. Barely. You gain the tempted condition again. But you feel the need to feed right now. You can hear that voice in your head. Hey, I'm hungry.
No, I would. If there are vessels to feed, it's like I'll take advantage of this because I am hungry. But I gotta make sure I am going to have the thought in my head. Don't kill them. Doesn't mean I won't
that's
do it.
fine. Don't kill them. It's fine. They don't matter.
But yeah, I'll get enough blood in my system for at least 5 vitae. And then,
5 vitae. Okay, that will drain them pretty badly, but
I'm at vitae of 2, so I just need 3 more. So I want to be at 5.
Okay, there are enough vessels for you. But you will need to feed up to 5 blood to no longer be hungry, and if you stop, you may be at risk of frenzy again. So you will feed on a vessel. They will look unwell. And if you could roll me a quick wits medicine, because it's just kind of an off-the-cuff notice, like you're not doing a hard medical check on them.
Yeah. What's medicine? Yeah.
Okay, you know, you're a professional. You know generally when you drink a little bit too much blood, not enough to kill someone, but enough to make them seriously ill. You know you've taken as much as this mortal could possibly be fed upon. If another kindred were to feed upon this mortal, they would risk death. In fact, they would probably die. It is something you may wish to inform the keeper.
No, I would definitely, if there's any type of like staff around, I would say this one isn't available to be fed upon anymore. So,
Okay. You just tell the staff or the keeper? Either one works.
I'm assuming I would tell the staff because they would tell the keeper. The keeper is busy.
Okay. They'll nod at you. They will inform the keeper. Should be noted, the security here all register as mortal. They do not register as kindred.
Or ghouls.
You can't tell if they are ghouls or not.
Oh, yeah,
You cannot tell if they are bound.
Okay.
Is what makes ghouls quite dangerous. They can blend in.
Okay.
But you inform the staff, you do inform the keeper, and within not even half a minute, the person is escorted out, and you're not sure where they're taken to. But they are escorted out of the area. Any kindred that approach are rebuffed and politely asked to indulge the other vessels for the evening. That this one is tired and has had their share and could not possibly take any more. Return to the engagement happening. This absolutely is quite energetic affair, really. Stanford has a sort of somber expression on his face. And it's kind of as he looks around, you're not quite sure what he's particularly sad about. It's a very soft sort of expression. He simply says, "It was never my desire or intention to create such a divide within the city. There are already so many divisions within this domain. I need whoever's emitting all that background noise needs to mute himself." It's gone now. Okay. Yeah, apologies about it. He says, "It was never my intention to create such a divide within this city. There are already so many divides. So many barriers that keep us from each other. I wish to discuss it with you privately. As you say, the one you sought justice for is but a victim. I do not wish for this person to remain a victim. Many of us within the movement are within the movement because we were victims. We do honestly wish, regardless of who created this revenant, for them to see justice. But we wish for them to see justice. Not an arbitrary execution, not torture or sent off to some unknowable prison. We wish for justice.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Bishop, but isn't the whole premise of an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, and vengeance really big in my religion?
Interpretations vary. Orthodoxy would suggest yes. reformists are kind of like, doesn't that destroy our humanity? To which, yeah, correct.
In that case, he looks around the other Lankea in the room, and do you mind if I basically paraphrase some religious bullshit and say that it's in the Testament of Longinus?
Yes, you can. That would be a presence academics because you're calling upon scripture. That's the word for it. So yes, the rule of Golgotha is actually a good reference for this. But the initial creation of Longinus is also a good one. In fact, when he met Marconius is a very good example. A bunch of corrupt priests that Longinus all killed because they were corrupt. But he let Marconius live and inducted him into the kindred way because he was the only one among them who was earnest.
Nice.
Marconius was the one who authored the text of Longinus, or the Testaments. The original ones. Of which only fragments really remain now. So
he gets the one success. So he goes deep. He goes deep within himself for a few moments, and he says, "And so it was. A dozen men stood before him and said, 'We are not sinners. We are not sinners all.' Each one was felled one by one, for in their heart there was nothing but sin, until he came to the man who professed his sins, who knew his sins, who embraced the fact that he was with sin. They did not try to deflect this. They did not try to flee from it. And in that vessel, he found one who could be redeemed. A life has been taken. A life should be given in payment."
Oh, for fuck's sake. You will hear someone say that. Enough with the fucking preaching, can we? And someone just leaves the immediate area, storms off.
Ooh, interesting.
When
Very
she begins to
interesting.
storm off, I really will try to stop her. If she does it, she's gone.
Actually, when that happens, this man raises a glass of fine vitae and says, "Quite right. We are here for a party, not for a sermon." This man. Everybody roll me intelligence politics. Everybody who's new to the domain, roll at a -2 dice.
Yeah, that.
Gotcha.
Because you are not aware of the political circles of the city yet. You're not familiar with them. But you may have heard of it from outside the domain. Any Invictus get to roll +3 dice.
Oh, I got one.
Actually, well, to be fair, Natalia doesn't have to roll, but so.
Yeah.
Natalia already knows who this asshole is.
Yeah, totally.
Yay,
Okay.
one success.
That is a notary of the Invictus. His name is Arthur Douglas.
He will, you know what, Joshua bows and he says, "Honored notary, I do not mean to proselytize. However, I was merely answering the point of justice should be given to fit the crime."
Of course. We understand and sympathise with the case you've made before us. If I may say so myself, it has been remarkably compelling, and I can only offer my sympathies to the acts of aggression placed upon you. But we are also here for peace and calm, to escape the politics and trials of the night to night. I do not mean to offend. I only wish to emphasize that There is a better time and place.
By the way, Bishop, the prince is supposed to be here this evening, yes?
He is. He has not arrived yet, but you can only imagine that with sufficient time passing, he will arrive soon.
I came here in order to speak to the prince. This debate has proven to be spirited. He turns to the individual in question. Oh, what was his name? The Carthian.
Which one? There are two.
Is it Stainforth?
Stanford, yes, Speaker of the Carthians.
Stainforth, and he says, "I thank you for this verbal sparring match. It has proven most enlightening."
With respect, I had no desire to wage it. I feel it has only divided the city further and may only escalate incidents like this in the future. I hope I am wrong. I honestly do. You do not need to roll subterfuge against him. He's being... sorry, I'm just going to say you don't need to roll subterfuge against him. He is being honest. He does wish to be wrong.
Ultimately, if it had been found that one of mine had committed such sins, if it had been found that we had committed such actions, I would light the pyre beneath him myself. I would not protect him.
When Joshua says that, Julia goes, like, that's odd.
If he actually stops, that doesn't please him. It kind of saddens him. He will say, if the rumors tonight hold true, you may very well get your wish.
He contemplates for a few moments and he says, "What do you mean by this?"
I've heard there is to be an execution tonight.
Of whom?
As I've heard from far down the grapevine, it would be a member of your covenant, although they insist their innocence.
Very well. Then I will ask to be their executioner, if you'll excuse me. And he will walk outside.
You will just hear like a muddled Jesus fucking something, probably from the person you know who is. So.
Yep, he just kind of, he walks to like a place where he can get air to stand outside. Yeah, no, he's going to straight up ask to kill this person. He's going to beg permission of the prince to execute them.
Arturo will go with you.
So, Julian,
Well,
am I wrong that a cool exchange and that way of thinking is totally fucked? Or is it just me that's weird?
So zealots are going to be zealots.
You don't fucking say, well, yeah, yeah. You'll notice that Natalia just every once in a while just look over at the person who just talked with not Stanford but the other guy. She just seems to look at him every once in a while, but she's just so with that what was just said. Does this mean that we fucking caused this?
Don't have that burden on your head.
Well, if we did this, if we caused this guy to fucking get X,
Again, don't have that burden on your head. We did what
how
we
the
were
fuck did
asked
you
to do.
land?
Because it was not us who caused her condition. It was him. And no different than what I did today. he will be punished.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's just... Oh, by the way, I have something for you.
What?
A t-shirt.
He raises an eyebrow to that.
I told you I was going to bring a t-shirt with Captain Bringdown if you kept being as sour and dour as you are, so I've made you a t-shirt. It says Captain Bringdown.
He takes the shirt rather mildly reverently, but more inquisitive than anything.
Yeah, I demand you have at least on one occasion on. Yes, that's it. That's all.
The man in your little circle of friends, Natalia, laughs quite heartily at this.
She puts on a smile, I guess. Well, kind of.
I didn't know you were into knitting, Miss Belenko.
No, I had it was I had it made.
Oh, that's a shame. I was going to praise you for putting so much effort into the joke.
Well, that's the thing. It's not really a joke if you know Julian. Like he's always really dour and yeah, I like my jokes.
I was going to say, I feel a line being crossed.
Well, I've heard that's all the part of the political games of like keeping people confused about what's happening. Like, I don't know how well I'm doing, but hey, I'm going to try.
It is true, misdirection is the name of the game. There will always be those that wish to take your place or remove it entirely. It will always be impossible to successfully hide from them, but if you can send them to somewhere else, somebody else, you may yet live. At least that is the credo I live by.
I can get you a t-shirt as well if you want to.
Ooh.
Because that was fairly ominous and creepy and
Well, it's,
I don't know.
if I may, Mr. Sinister.
I know that's a name for a comic book. Nice try though.
And Dawson. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Likewise.
Do you want to actually, both you and Julian, make me a wits composure roll?
Witz und Composure.
Yeah.
I have the 2 successes.
Okay.
And that is it.
What did our good friend Julian get?
Oh, I failed.
Shame. Okay. You kind of blink and you miss it. You just kind of looking for a moment. It's like, did this? What? You kind of you almost lean in. You're like, was there something wrong with his eyes? Like it's like the shade of them was wrong for a second. Maybe it's just a light.
So I don't believe we've met before.
That is because I am no one of note. I am alienated to be Victus, but it's my honest pleasure to meet you.
Well, that's good. I mean, of course, yeah. So, can I help you?
Of course not. You just seem to be socializing, and I thought I would chip in and do my part for the evening, as it were. If I may say, you seem as if you have little love for events such as this. I apologise if I'm overstepping my boundaries. It's just something I note. I do not wish to be dishonest.
Well, I tend to not want to stick out in the wrong way in gatherings such as this, so I try and fail to keep my mouth shut, so yeah. That put me on edge, but, never mind.
That is very true. This is not an invictus gathering, so we can let our head out, as it were, just a little bit. The Crone are quite charitable when it comes to such things, I hear.
Well,
Then again, I did bring my good suit.
right. She looks at him just neonate to neonate. It's just do that. Nothing else. It's yeah. Of course. It's good.
10 euro says that's the prince.
Money. We'll swap perspectives to Mr. Irons. Where did Mr. Morris go? I was going to have him involved in this as well. Where are you? I'm salty.
Hang on. Is Tiger waiting outside to be let back in?
Nope.
Yeah, double check that.
I have 5. No, 6.
I can't see any comments saying that.
Oh God, what is she doing here? Back, I say.
Nah, she's cool. Let her come. She's awesome.
She says to execute people with you.
Yay.
No, Marcus Irons, you are.
He was planning of walking over to the little gaggle of neonates and see if he could
Yes.
chime in.
As you come over, just as you come over, you'll see Natalia's eyebrows. Well, one of her eyebrows just raised at first, and she goes, "Hey, cool! Like, wow, that's. I mean, look at the comment on there. That's a pretty crazy get up for Elysium. I mean, that takes balls. I mean, that's brave."
I would have shown up in better, but this is the best that I have.
Did you just come out of a gutter, my dear? You smell.
You would see in the child's expression. It's almost as she's disappointed with that answer.
Sorry if you were expecting something else. I tried my best to get the ammonia out of the jacket, but seems I failed. To be fair, my sense of smell is really off kilter ever since I was embraced.
That happens when you surround yourself with filth. It dilutes one's sense of smell.
Well, let's just say not all of us are embraced with a silver spoon in our fangs.
Understandable, of course. This is Elysium. Of course, it is tolerant of all kindred that wish to come here at the keeper's word, of course, at her discretion. But
she seemed okay.
And of course, if she views it as acceptable, well, she takes a deep breath. I can accept but must question. Regardless, I sense that you are Ventru.
That is correct. I have been accused of such things, yes.
Accused.
Nice one.
It is an honor to be a Ventru. Roll me. What's your? 1 second. I need to check. Actually, the fact, Marcus, the fact that she said, "I sense that you are a Ventrue," implies to you that she might also be one.
He would assume so.
Natalia's face kind of stiffens when she finds it, or when she notices that it was probably not a joke or not taken as a joke. She kind of just tenses up a bit.
I take it you are what they call a clanmate of mine.
Yes, my name is Delphine Paquette. Order Dracul.
Marcus Irons, Order Dracul. He offers his hand. To be fair, the nails are cut and it looks like a clean hand.
She hesitates to shake, and actually you can tell her eyes dart down to your hand and check for at least 2 to 3 seconds before shaking your hand. And she does so slowly with hesitance.
He just rolls his eyes. Look, I didn't ask to be embraced. Somebody had to close some loose ends. I'm just trying my best to make do with my situation.
But it was
continue.
But it was deliberate. You are no revenant.
No. I actually wanted to come and ask. This word, revenant, has been bandied about a lot, and it's not in my vocabulary. And that's the whole point why I'm here, to learn.
How young are you to not know what revenants are in the other order? Months? Yes?
He looks at her. He's basically is trying to figure out if he should be honest with how old he is or if he should lie. He's trying to gauge her.
Roll me a word sympathy.
On it.
By the way, Bishop, just a quick kind of aside lore question. So obviously people are just like happy to insult the Archbishop to the face of the Lankea. How much control does he actually have over my covenant? Like, is it just something that he has lip service, or no, we actually do what he fucking says?
You as a Lancair know that his control over the Covenant is loose at best. The fact that Stanford said what he did may come from multiple places. One, in that he is a kindred of Station himself, so he may perhaps believe that he can get away with such a statement, whereas other younger kindred could not. He is, after all, an elder, and they play by different rules, and he may be exploiting the Invictus' own rule set against him. It may also be that he may be aware of how loose his control is, or he may be simply honest, and may simply be saying what everybody else believes, or what he believes everybody else believes. It wouldn't surprise you if he knew that the Archbishop's control wasn't as secure as the Lancair likes to claim, but also wouldn't surprise you if he's just saying it because he knows he can get away with it. Or he may have just said it in an act of anger. There's a lot of reasons for it. A lot of reasons it could be. But
I'm also wondering from I was wondering from my own perspective, like, is the Archbishop like a dude who you don't want to fuck with, or do we just kind of go, yeah, Grandpa, you sit over there and do whatever the fuck you want. We're going to be here actually running the Covenant, basically.
It's a mixture of disdain and terror. His abilities as a Nosferatu are well pronounced, and it permeates through the rest of the Covenant. But many kindred do not relish in this. Few relish in fear. Even fewer relish in a fear of one that they believe is outdated, outmoded, brutal, and cruel.
And like that, Joshua has found his mentor. I will become his Darth Vader.
Oh, God damn it.
3 successes, by the way.
3 successes. You think it's a brusque but honest question. It may come across as insulting. You don't think that's actually her intention.
He, after eyeing her quite steely, he goes, 6 months. Most of the time I was locked up.
Then your ignorance is excusable. A revenant is, well, there are several names to them. Some call them whelps, half-blooded, thin-blooded, but the truth is quite far from it. Revenants are kindred in the barest sense of the term. They are not embraced as you are. One does not invest a part of their humanity or their soul into creation of a revenant. You do not feed them your blood. You do not feed them part of yourself. A revenant is created when one either drains a mortal dry, or simply, or when a ghoul simply meets death. It is never guaranteed, but the thickness of a kindred's blood, the power of a kindred's blood, may result in more common occurrences of revenants. That said, it is often more common for the young to create revenants. And the elders of, needless to say, are well situated to avoid the pangs of hunger, and are often more controlled than their younger associates. So while a young kindred, a thin-blooded kindred, I might argue, may run less of a risk in theory of creating revenants. In practice, younger kindred tend to create them more simply because they lose control more often.
Okay. At the mention of her saying a more potent kindred, for example, just draining someone thing, he can't help but his eyes widen as if a horrible realization, or to be more precise, a doubt washes over him.
Revenants.
Let's see. Well, he drained me. He fed me his. For a moment, he wants to say blood, but then he catches himself and says vitae. Out of character, can another vampire sense the blood potency?
Only if you were to taste the blood of another kindred, which comes with certain risks. But yes, kindred, when they taste blood, can discern vast troves of information. They can determine the age of a person, what they ate a few hours ago, what they ate last year. Mm-hmm. They can determine their health, their pretty much everything about them, really. They could even arguably determine what job they have.
Yeah. He goes, yeah, so, well, milady, thank you for the information. Whew.
Well, okay. I'm not quite done. There is a reason the revenants are hated, and it's not because they're not considered full kindred, that's part of it. It's also because they cause massive masquerade breaches. They are quite, they cannot store vitae in the capacity that we can, and run out of it very, very quickly, within hours as opposed to nights.
There is literally an expression of shock and horror on his face.
As such, the most one can usually do for revenants is to either uplift them or kill them. Most are simply destroyed.
Uplift them? How would one do that?
Recreate the embrace. Feed them your blood, and in so doing, a part of yourself. They will become your child and a part of your clan. It is not recommended in most cases. The loss of one's soul is detrimental to one's sanity. This, of course, is common sense.
He just nods slowly. Okay, good to know.
So I would not consider your sire to be necessarily overtly cruel. He clearly saw something in you, or she clearly saw something in you. If they embraced you, they gave that part of themselves to create you. It is uncommon for one to sire casually, although some kindred have the power to retain their mental functions in the face of a mass embrace. It is very, very uncommon. Everybody who is in this conversation can roll with sympathy. She's actually, yeah. Just roll with empathy. Marcus, you can roll +1 dice. You're young, but you are part of the order. And actually, no, you don't need to roll because you know this. You know this because I just remembered what mystery you're on.
Thank you.
You know exactly what she's referring to.
I know nothing.
The player has an idea. The character, I'm not sure, man. But I'm also part of the order. But my wits is only 1, and I don't have any empathy, so I got to roll the chance dice right now.
Yeah,
Natalia
he just
will-
gives her a very slow nod in understanding and the gravity of what she said.
Marcus, you'll notice that this woman, Natalia, just comes over and when there's a pause in the conversation, she'll just go, "Do you have a phone?"
He pulls out a Samsung S2. It is ancient. It has a lot of wear and tear, but it seems to be functional.
Yeah.
Mostly
Can never go wrong with the classics, as she sees it. And she'll just put in her number. You know, if you need a place to crash or something, maybe we can find out something, okay?
That would be very kind of you. Thank you. And what would you want in return? That was the very first lesson I was taught.
She looks as though she's about to get quite upset or quite angry. And then she just takes a very deep breath and she just says, "Oh, right. Fuck. Yeah. All that.
I mean, I can do your
get-
laundry. I can shovel snow in front of you. You know, I'm more than happy to be helpful. Just
She actually laughs at that. You know, I like you. Listen, we'll sort out that shit later, okay? Just you really look like someone who could use help, honestly. So
I look like a bum. I'm fully aware of
no,
that. Yes.
fuck that. No. You look great. It's just, you know.
I disagree. Respectfully speaking, of course.
And
There's those style.
at that he just grins, sort of, but I'm aware how I come across. I'm aware of that. Let's make no bones about it.
Yes. Honesty is the best policy.
Right. Okay. Just like maybe just we'll sort out like owing and rent or whatever the fuck later. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Good.
I might have. Yes, we'll talk about that later. Yes. Yeah. So yes, I am fresh to the city, as is painfully obvious. And just to let you guys know, I was embraced well outside the greater city bounds, so
Where Southall Watford.
yeah, Watford. There you go.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
At least you
after
didn't-
managing to extricate myself, because kindred or no, I've being kept like a prisoner is not my idea of a good time.
It
So
really is.
Yeah, and with all due respect, as far as my size is concerned, that guy can go and swallow a sponge or whatever is the equivalent of a kindred choking on something.
Hmm.
He was fucking nuts.
We don't
Uh,
choke, we have no gag reflex.
Yeah,
And
we also
I
don't
think
freeze to death, which is a plus.
if you just say like he could go eat a bag of dicks, I think that more or less covers your bases.
Yeah, sure.
Well, speak to me after this evening, Mr. Irons, and I will. May I call you Marcus?
Yeah, sure.
But, Marcus, I will speak to you after this evening. We can get you reacquainted with the rest of the order. I think you'll find them quite welcoming.
When she speaks like that, Dugan looks on his face a little disappointed.
To be fair, it was a outside chapter that was welcoming. So I'm more than happy to. How do they call it these days? Pass on the favor.
Yes. In spite of your appearance, you look like a man with a sharp mind and keen reflexes, which should take you places. In fact, I believe the Kogon may take a liking to you. You seem to fit her style.
Well, you have to be on your wits when you're on the street.
It's true.
What's true in life is true in undeath, I guess.
It will not get any easier for you as part of the Order. It will only get harder. The street can teach much. The Order will impose more ruthless tests upon you. I will be blunt. They will be more ruthless.
Why would they, like, whenever you meet someone, there will always be more ruthless? Why is there?
Do you know
I need to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. And
why you have no need to?
I
If you wish to leave, you may simply state that you wish to leave.
no, I need to.
Maybe the lady wants to freshen up her makeup.
Yeah, that.
And he gives
that anyway.
a wink.
Delphine sighs. Well, in any case, I hope you find yourself welcomed. I do urge you caution tonight. There will be a spectacle. It will not be one you enjoy, judging from your recent expressions and from your youth.
I heard something about a potential execution. Yes, not what I was expecting.
I expect several.
Oh.
Tonight you're going to see a revenant.
Okay. A worried expression coming over him again.
Hang on, Bishop, I just have to ask, is my revenant still safely secured in the place where I left her?
You don't know, the Princeton took her back. Who knows what revenant's going to be executed tonight?
I was going to say, because I didn't know that they took the Revenants back.
Yeah, they did.
Okay. I have to save that one Revenant. The rest can go die in a fire, literally.
As if on cue, the prince and, well, actually, one second. I need to get you their, actually, no. Yes, just... Oh. Oops, I fucked up. There we go. The prince and significant security entourage arrive. The keeper walks to the center of the garden and says, "Kindred of Elysium, please gather. His Majesty has arrived." Various members of security begin gesturing, saying, "Make way for the prince." They begin directing Kindred off to the side or off the pathway that the prince is traveling down. He has about 4 heavily armed figures with him. They're very heavily armed, and they all look very tall and strong, like these sort of like what you would imagine a sort of heavy hitter commando who holds a minigun to look like. A sort of very, very bulky, very, very imposing figure. They wear very heavy body armor. Their faces are masked in the same armor. They look extremely dangerous, to be blunt. The prince, however,
Marcus will just scuttle out of the way very hastily.
The prince is in a wonderfully jovial mood, though. He's busy shaking hands, saying, "Good evening, good day, good evening." He appears surprisingly approachable. And as he walks on through, says his greetings to the Primogen and the notaries of the Invictus and the elders and anyone else worth talking to. He greets his dear Archon, dearest Archon. Heard she ran into a bit of a tough spot. Of course, she can always rely on him for help, and if she ever requires assistance, all she needs to do is give him a call. And she will also approach you, Joshua.
You know what? I'm dressed in the full. He goes, "You know what? I'm dressed in the full regalia. I've been playing the card all night. Let's do the whole going down to one knee thing."
My dark knight, please rise.
Yeah, up he comes.
I heard you put on quite a show. I heard it is a talent of yours. Had a spectacular view for it. You made quite the compelling case. A master showman is you.
He shakes his head and he says, "If you will forgive me, Your Highness, tonight at stake was not applause. Tonight at stake there was a wronged girl to whom I would see justice done."
Of course, the severity of your case is not lost upon me. It has given me much pause for thought, which I will say is quite rare. Few things move me these nights except for the most exceptional of matters. So I can only, while you do not wish for applause, I can only give you one. And he will clap his hands, and everybody else will applaud with him, of course, because the prince is applauding. We will applaud with the prince. He has seen fit to give this person praise. And he will place a hand on your shoulder and he will say, "This is very strong, my man. Tonight you will see at least a pigment of justice, and I can only hope in the near future you will see it in its totality."
He looks to the prince and he says, "May I ask, Your Highness, is it true that you intend to render judgment upon members of my covenant this evening?"
Ah, I see the rumour mill has been quite active in my perceived absence. The cacophony is a wonderful thing. I regret to inform you that it is true. Miss Belenko, along with some of her associates, discovered that one of the revenant that she was assigned to handle was drawn to Yeoman Voss. If I recall, he is an inquisitor of your particular sect. I can only offer you my condolences. This is, needless to say, quite a tragedy, but as you are well aware, justice must be distributed equally among all. And in locating this perpetrator, another life has been saved.
Then, if it is possible, Your Highness, and you know what, fuck it, he's going to go whole hog today. He will say, "If it is possible, Your Highness, so that it does not stain the souls of other higher beings whom are above such complaints and who are above such machinations. If any must die tonight, allow me to serve as your executioner." Let me take this sin upon myself.
Normally, such a duty would be left to the Archons, for it is a burden they bear in exchange for the power they are given. Make a presence persuasion check to convince the prince of your case.
Okie dokie, arkidokie. Third willpower of the... I said they were going to go like candy.
Yep.
It's fine.
I was going to leave the duty to Archon Korslova, for he is the most dutiful man. But yes, make a roll.
That is 110, so I will re-roll it. 2 successes.
You succeed.
The wording he will phrase is, the Archon Kozlova is a good man, and he bows. He will actually bow respectfully to the Lancashire Archon. He'll say, "And indeed, the individual here gathered is not only a member of my own covenant, but one whose purpose it is to root out internal heresies. However, when actions affect the mortal world, and when it is that they touch upon those whom are within the mortal world, it is my order whom deal with them. So if there is to be punishment meted out, I would ask that I take the burden." It is, you know what? Fuck it. You know what he'll say? "It is only what my archbishop would command of me."
You know, his casual smile fades, and he gives you a rather curious gaze upon that. It's very hard to kind of gauge what he's thinking, other than what he decides to express quite forcefully. It's not quite as knowing or respectful as you'd expect upon him hearing that, but we'll say, I'm almost inclined to take away dice from that roll now. But he will say, "Very well, I will permit you to indulge in your burden."
"Your servant, Your Highness. Long may God keep you in the throne in which you long may God keep you in your throne."
So I pray, at the risk of my own vanity. But yes, if I may excuse myself, I believe we should get matters underway.
He nods. If it is agreeable to you, I will hear the accused's last confession before his execution.
Given the nature of the process, I believe that we stated quite publicly.
As you
Alas, the prince will leave your presence. Judy,
Joshua
you do
will take
know...
out a. I'm just gonna say he will take out a rosary read, and he will start to pray because he now has to do some truly heinous shit. Because bear in mind, I didn't just say I'll kill my own guy. No, I'll kill everyone he wants to kill. So if he wants to kill multiple people, I have literally just done that thing where I hold my soul underwater and do terrible things to it till it stops kicking.
Yes, you have. The prince walks up to Belenko briefly. Miss Belenko, I'd just like to thank you for your services rendered to my cause.
You're welcome. I mean, it's not. It's my duty to serve.
Of course. You conducted yourself with grace, integrity, and efficiency, everything we would expect from a member of our sect. Your sire has taught you well.
I hope so.
I know so. He gives you like this sort of... It's oddly jovial. Obviously you want to vomit, but... he's very friendly with you. And Julie, he curiously ignores you. Roll me into wits politics to discover why.
I have a feeling why.
You know, I may give it to you because it is fairly obvious. You reckon word may have reached up the grapevine of what happened. Perhaps it is strange that he has only chosen to ignore you. Perhaps it's because he is Elysium, or perhaps for some obscure reason he has chosen to spare you.
Julian assumes that he doesn't want to talk to me because he heard what I did today.
Mm-hmm. Did some very bad things. You're a very bad man. But it's okay. We also love you. The prince will step up to the what's the name of those little roofed areas? The patio, a roofed patio, center of the garden. And he'll say, "Kindred of my court, it's absolutely spectacular to see you in my presence once more. I must admit, duties of the court recently have sought to rob me from you, and in this I can only apologize to my fullest heart's extent. I do hope that this evening I'll be able to reacquaint myself with you all and discuss matters of personal import with those who have such things to speak to me about. If you wish to do so, you are free to approach me at any time this evening. Let it be known I, at the very least, a generous guest. I'm certainly not the host." He sort of gestures to the keeper, who kind of gives a gracious bow. People laughed at kind of not particularly funny joke. And he will say, "Alas, there are certain somber matters we must conclude first. A reminder of the city's laws must be made, as much as I regret to do so. For several weeks ago, a group of revenants were created left to fester underneath the subway of London, and in so doing took many lives, many mortal lives, and endangered our own through breaching the masquerade. Tonight, one of the perpetrators of this great injustice will be held to account for their crimes. Inquisitor Yeoman Voss of the Lancair Sanctum has been found guilty of breaching the masquerade and illegally siring a revenant in violation of second tradition. When he announces the name, a body is dragged through the path that the prince once made his way through. His body is battered and broken, torn. Oh. What the heck? And is just overall just savaged. His clothes have clearly not been changed since the time he was captured. They are barely more than priestly rags. He is currently gagged, but he is clearly attempting to scream something through it, but can't. For a moment, he becomes the center of attention as he attempts to exert his majesty across the room. But something stops it. Something impedes it. Something in this place, or from a kindred here, impedes it. And he is brought up to the lengthy patio that the prince stands upon. The prince gestures to you, Joshua Bainforth, to stand with him.
Questione. Before I do this, how is the execution going to take place? Like, what method do I use to kill him?
Several Archons, well, both Archons, Archon Kozlova and Saturn Thane, both stand with the prince. Archon Kozlova holds a large greatsword.
Okay.
He hands it to you. The prince will say, the guilty party will have a moment to speak before his final death. In this, he is given a chance to make final peace of his time in this world and give any last confessions for any sanctified present. When the gag is released, he flies into a full panic. He's being held down by the two guards who are dragging him, and they hold him down hard. Joshua, you understand that Yeoman was a Deva, so he's not exactly weak. He has vigor as a discipline. He's strong. But these guards hold him down with significant strength of their own. And he cries out, "I didn't do this! The Revenant is wrong! I never sired anyone. I would never violate my faith or the laws of the princedom." It's all wrong. The Revenant was wrong. He continues like this. "Joshua, you are given the sword." He actually looks up to you and says this to you.
Joshua kneels down and he strokes the face, and you can see him. Yeah, this is gonna get really fucked up, kids. I'm sorry, but he does
"Joshua,
all
I
kind of
didn't do this. I didn't do any of this. I recall nothing. Whatever unholy force has done this, they have set me up to fall. Don't do this, Joshua."
If you are innocent, then you go to God with a clean conscience. Shh.
"Joshua, please, don't do this. You're wrong. Something is wrong here."
The horrible thing is that Joshua 100% believes him as he stands, and he says, "Annos benedictus, annos rivus Dei." God's will be done.
"No,
And
please
this-
don't, Joshua, please don't." Head flies clean off. With the power of your vigor and his already dilapidated physical state, it is a clean kill.
Where does it land?
The head falls from the patio, rolling towards the audience, scattered. The body collapses. The guards simply release it. It begins to rot and decay at a rapid rate. First, the lower body, then the torso, making its way up the arms to the shoulders. It begins to putrefy and smell. It begins to dissolve in the head, leaving only a greasy, ashy skeleton. He was not particularly old. Older than the average neonate, but certainly no elder.
All right. What kind of degeneration roll is that?
Oh, we're not done yet.
Oh, crap. Mass murder, kids!
The best kind.
There is, I am afraid, one more matter, one more regrettable death, the most regrettable, must take place this evening. However, Jesus.
Apparently, like it's Brooklyn Nine-Nine meets fucking like I don't know Southampton edition. It's fine.
What the fuck? Sadly, while the reverend that caught this foul murderer, and as such has earned themselves a place among us, is the elite of the night. The one that failed in their duty, and the one that is guilty of so many masquerade breaches, of so many deaths. One that has failed in their task to balance out their crimes with an act of redemption. Is to be put to final death tonight. A old man, most of you recognize him. He's brought before the patio. He walks. He requires no real escort. There is an escort with him, and they have a hand on his shoulders, but he does nothing to resist. He walks rather calmly, very composed, with a lot of dignity. In fact, for a man about to die, he looks surprisingly dignified. Not just in his body language, but in his presentation. He is placed down before the prince, before the audience. The prince says, Preston Douglas, under my decrees, Prince, you are sentenced to final death. Do you have any last words to state before the audience gathered? The sanctified present. He smiles and shakes his head as if it's strange to say this man is happy, but in a way he is. He is put down, he's put before you, Joshua.
Joshua kind of raises an eyebrow and he looks towards Julian because he remembered that Julian and this guy had like a rapport, and he's like, the Joshua's brilliant bright green eyes, and they just kind of blink like, really? Okay.
It should be noted, if anyone wishes to speak out against this, they can.
No, Julian.
There is nothing.
Look at Preston. Though the flame of his life has diminished of recent, there is still a smolder when he sees Preston. And Julian will speak. What was the man's crimes?
Like the rest of the coterie. Actually, wait a second. You said what is? No, he actually says. Why, you are Mr. Goodman. Yes, I recall. You already know their crimes. You're the ones that located and identified these revenants, were you not? Why do you ask this question before your prince?
Because I don't see the others. So.
Ah. Well, the other one. He actually gives that rather dark chuckle. Well, one has already earned their keep among us, among the court. This have been granted the right to be uplifted.
And he kind of looks over to his eyes kind of try to meet with Preston, and then moves back to the prince. If I may speak a word to our would be, is the term be executionee or to be
Condemned.
Condemned. So thank you. If you would allow me.
You have not earned this right.
By the way, Bishop, just to confirm, you did say that even though we did kind of kaput the mission, that you were granting us the ability to turn ours. Yes. We
Yes.
identified it. Just to clarify, cool. Because otherwise, Joshua would literally turn this knight. Would literally try and kill the prince right now.
Judas!
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 Jesus,
There is
when,
no Ginny and Judas, funny enough.
I was gonna say, when the fuck did Josh? He's dressed in black armor and shouting about. When did he become Batman?
He's not Batman. He's more like fucking Red Hood. Benevolent clown man to a ruthless vigilante.
Joshua kneels, by the way, down with Preston, and he looks at Julian, and he whispers to the condemned the same as he did to the previous guy, and he says, "I don't know you. I don't know your story. Is there anywhere in particular you would like your body to lie, or is there anyone you would like to be told that you are no longer of this world, or of the living?" He will say with a kind of a obvious decal to the living. He's granting him a small kindness, basically.
He actually smiles. It's as if you've asked the very question he could never have answered. Or sorry, he could never have asked himself, not answered. He will answer it now. He says to you, and only to you, it's very soft. In Highgate Cemetery, there is a grave. My wife, Amelia Douglas, 2007. If you would scatter my remains there,
I will see to
Whether
that
I'm-
you find your wife. You continue.
whether I am actual, simply a dilapidated corpse, as long as I am reunited with her, you will have
I will see.
my final gratitude.
By the way, since he's so close, would the prince object if Joshua took a very small bone from the previous executionee, like a finger bone?
He's a lanky. We'll do that afterwards.
Okay. It's just because I don't want to ask retrospectively, because I'm going to do the exact same if I can with this guy.
Yeah, the human's body has been kind of shifted to the side.
Cool. In that case, he will say, "If you believe in God, then I will hope you meet him. If you do not, then I will hope you meet him as a friend. If you do not believe in God, then I will hope you meet him and he finds you worthy, that you have lived a good life."
Out of character, may I add something quickly before you continue with the execution?
Of course.
Yeah. Marcus, who has been looking at the fellow who basically is staring death in the face with a lot of bravery and also calmness, can't help but stare at the man, try and get eye contact with him.
It's not too difficult.
If
He's right there.
okay, so as soon as Marcus sees that the condemned he has eye contact with him, he'll just straighten up and give him a silent military salute, waiting for the blade to swish down.
He gives you a respectful smile. It's almost like he wishes to let out a soft chortle, but it would be inappropriate.
By the way, I'm going to actually...
silent. Yeah.
I'm going to help Julian here. In theory, you could ask to uplift him.
You could.
But as the prince said, for me just trying to speak to him, I haven't earned it. So
No,
I mean, nothing ventured.
Speaking to him is trivial. Requesting to uplift him is potentially a solution to the problem and would not require someone staying their hands. Then again, You'd probably have to go quite a way towards convincing him.
You know what? For dramatic sake, Joshua steps back and raises the blade, like ready to bring it screaming down.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's more dramatic, the image.
Douglas has required no restraint. He has actually just kneeled and lowered his head so that his neck is exposed. If you were to kill him now, it'd be even cleaner than the death you dealt, Mr. Yeoman. The only question now is, will anyone intercede?
Well, since the prince, there's a part of Julie that wants to intercede, but since the prince denied him just speaking to him, because he actually want to really ask if Pressure wants to keep existing, or does he want to die?
Do or do not. There is no trying.
No. Yeah, then Julian will state, would you allow
Going
one of
once, going twice.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you
Julian,
continue, Daryl.
Yeah. Would you allow one of us to take responsibility for him, if he wishes it?
You know what? For the sake, if Joshua's now bringing down the blade, so the prince will actually have to interject to tell him to stop.
The prince does gesture for you to stop. He's silent. He expects you to. It's very much. He doesn't speak, but his gesture speaks for him.
Yeah, the blade stops like mere millimeters from the neck, like. Chink.
You are requesting to serve as this revenant's new sire, to cleanse his crimes from his current existence, to clean his slate, to take that burden upon yourself to make up for his crimes. To be responsible for him, as a fledgling would be to their sire.
If he would allow it. I will not give this to him if he does not wish it.
It is not him you have to convince. You may roll me presence or manipulation plus persuasion. You take -3 dice. The prince isn't very keen on this plan. If he is a man of station, he doesn't like being questioned, and that is what has happened here. So this will be a difficult roll.
It would be a chance roll.
You may spend a willpower point.
I've already spent so much.
Do you have any city status? That will add to your roll.
No, I do not. I just have fame.
That does not help your case, I'm afraid. A success at the very least will give him pause for consideration. It will not guarantee his embrace, but it will at least get him to stop. An exceptional success will guarantee his right to be the privilege of uplifting him.
Hang on. Do you have any Ordo status?
I do, but I don't think that would matter.
You might be able to convince somebody bigger hitting in the Ordo to make a thing for you. To say, give him the chance.
This is true, but this is a spontaneous action. This was not organised in advance.
Fair.
He could have organised the Ordo.
No, he was going to get killed. I assume if they're going to execute these revenants, they would have done it in secret.
But that doesn't send a shiny, sharp message.
Yeah, and we can't do a lot of things secretly. Every now and then you have to give people a knowledge branch.
Well, I will roll the chance die and see what happens. Nope, I fail.
Then unfortunately, in the pressure of the moment, you misspeak and you do not cast your case in a very positive light at all. As Evan suggested, you may attempt to drag another Ordo into this. They may be able to make a better case. But they may not, depending on who it is, they may not necessarily be pleased about being dragged into this issue.
No. The fact that Julia was trying, but the fact that Preston is so calm about this, he's not going to push it any further, as he's already made enough waves today.
If nothing else, Preston does give you a silent thank you in recognition. But the prince he says, I can't help but find your words hollow, your case poor, and your deeds devoid of meaning. You will not have the privilege of uplifting this lawbreaker. Is that clear?
He simply nods.
Good. My apologies, Mr. Bainforth. He nods. Please continue. You hear someone whisper in the audience, actually, Julian, just say, just behead that fucker already.
Oof. That is a big oof.
Marcus will just throw a really dirty glance at the general direction from where that came.
Seems to be a general sentiment among the crowd. I wish for a show, and they're not being given one.
Okay, in that case, he just shakes his head and gives the condemned one last salute, constantly keeping eye contact. You know, like symbolically, I see you kind of shit.
Delphine doesn't seem to possess the same sympathies, but she seems very matter-of-fact about this, as if this is just another day in Elysium, or another night in Elysium.
Joshua will say, "May God watch over your soul," and he raises the sword again. If anyone else wants to interject, now's the time.
Nope.
Natalia and Julian, this person's about to die because you were too successful.
Can anyone budge? If someone takes responsibility for him.
The sword hangs in midair like, oh, am I doing this again? Okay, down goes the sword.
He gestures for you to stop this time, but this time the prince looks visibly irritated. Myself and Bainforth are becoming quite impatient, as I'm sure as the rest of this audience, who'd rather get such morbid matters out of the way and return to their festivities. If you have anything valuable to add, Miss Bolenko, please state as such now.
A solitary blood tear will form, and she looks as though she's just been. She shakes her head very slowly. She looks as though she's been petrified, almost paralyzed, and it is glued in place.
Perhaps I should ask the crowd, considering there are so many inquisitive young figures among us. Is there anyone who would like to take responsibility for this wayward remnant? To uplift him? No? Then let us end this stalling.
Sword goes up. He waits for a heartbeat of 3, and he will say very softly before he brings it down, "You will be with your wife soon."
Now, the duty of this court and Mr. Bainforth be done.
And he will bring the sword down in one very smooth arc. Headsman style.
His body does not decay particularly rapidly. It does putrefy, but that's about as far as it gets. He was not old. It is reduced to the state of a husk. The lingering scent of rotting flesh lingers in the air, but it dries very quickly. And then there is only the dry body of a revenant and their head.
If it please your highness, he did request to be buried with his wife. I would like to see that is carried out now that the justice has been done upon him.
I care not what is done with the body. You may handle it as you wish. I assume you will give it all the respect due.
We can also see to the body of the other Lankea, certain funerary rites of our cult, etc.
Of course.
Thank you, your highness.
My apologies for Mordred's interruptions, ladies and gentlemen. You may return to your festivities at last. I hope you have a pleasant rest of the evening, and I'll be available for the rest of the night should you wish to speak with me. I would absolutely love to reacquaint myself with you and get to know so many of the new faces that I see in the crowd. He does eye you up, Marcus. He spots you as someone he doesn't recognize. It's noteworthy. You see, it's very much just sort of... It's like he has an eye for people in this rather large crowd, at least 100 kindred.
Yeah, but he was able to single out the one bummy-looking Ventru. Awesome. But
you
anyway,
do smell of
back
liquor.
in...
Yeah, you do smell of liquor and piss. You are quite noteworthy.
He tried his best to get it out of the leather, but man, he just didn't manage. He just didn't have the right detergents at hand.
Okay.
Anyway,
So
he looks up to the prince, gives him a slight bow, and will move backwards, but not turning his his back to the prince. After all, my guy doesn't know what the exact etiquette is, so he's going off what he knows from history books.
Quick note, Joshua Bainforth, Evan, I will need you to roll...
I was going to say, because humanity is subjective, isn't it?
Yes, so it would be... There are sort of recommended breaking points. This would, I would say, would be humanity 4. Well, no, it's humanity 3, but it's the same dice pool. It was a deliberate killing. But it wasn't necessarily... You were the one... you volunteered for it, so here you go. But they had already signed his death warrant, so that does alleviate it somewhat, but not by much. So 2 dice plus your touchstone bonus. Julian and Natalia... This person died because of you. You did not go out of your way to kill them. You protested in their defense. So I will say this is a humanity 7 to 8 breaking point. You will get 4 dice plus a touchstone bonus.
What is the touchstone bonus?
If you have 1 touchstone bonus, it's plus 2 dice. If you have more than 1 touchstone, it's plus 3 dice.
I succeed!
I do succeed with 3 successes.
Oh, I didn't dice roll a 2. My bad.
Never mind. It's still a legitimate dice roll, so it's a legal roll.
Oh God.
No, I got 3. So
Oh, thank God. I was like, oh dear, that's sadness.
That
when
is.
when the prince does say that if people want to talk or speak to him, Julie won't speak out. I was commissioned by the Archon to give a report about a particular epidemic that has hit London. If you would allow me to. So,
Oh, by all means, it may be the first thing of value you have to add to this evening.
and he will turn to the court and state, as you actually go to one of his pockets and bring out that particular drug. A little awkward with the handcuffs around his wrists.
Is he actually wearing handcuffs?
Yes, he is.
Why? Yeah, you know what? Because he's still on the dais with the prince because he hasn't left. He just kind of looks so, and he's, why are you wearing handcuffs?
A precaution, but if you allow me to continue. This particular drug that has been a issue on the street has been analyzed and dissected. I can tell you right now that it is kindred made. A concoction using cheap materials with a mixture of kindred alchemy to create this particular drug. It will allow the individual, kindred or mortal, to feel the effects of the common party drug known as ecstasy. It will also allow kindreds to invoke the blush of life with them with using just one of these drugs. The more questionable aspect of these drugs is whoever is making these particular concoctions is using their blood in them, which is allowing them, if they wish to manipulate and coerce whoever has partaken.
Julie, you know that's not necessarily true.
If I remember right, it says it does create a sense of blood sympathy, allowing it easier to use mental disciplines on them.
Yes. Oh, I thought you meant blood bond.
No. I said coerce. That's why I didn't say bond.
Mm-hmm.
So I would ask all who have taken it to be cautious about who they've been speaking to over the past months.
So, what does this? Do you mean by saying more susceptible? The prince actually asked this question.
It creates a sense of blood sympathy, allowing mental disciplines to be more effective.
The individual to whom the blood belongs, as it is pertained in those drugs, creates a powerful sympathetic link between themselves and any other, and what you hold in your hand there. Even the most basic of blood magicians would be able to tell you who that individual was with no great issue whatsoever.
That's the problem. How it is done, it makes it extremely hard to trace, even with magic.
Yeah, you know what that does? That does get a scoff. Power of God.
So this drug has the upside and the downside.
The upside would be if with more time, if I could maybe make a solution that is less risk hazardous to the users, this would be an easy way to allow kindred within the city to live in order. The downside right now is this is potential subterfuge and sabotage throughout the whole entire city to an entity that we don't know what their main goal is.
I see.
I also have further information for the Archon Drew the Prince that I don't think that the rest of the court need to know at this moment.
Joshua gives a slight smile at this. God fucking damn it. God damn fucking monster. God. Yeah. I'm fine.
Actually, something to note, because you all had to make humanity rolls. Nobody scored an exceptional success, correct?
No.
No.
Okay. Okay, then, Joshua, you gain the bestial condition. Julian, you gain the competitive condition, and so do you, Natalia. It will fade at the end of this scene.
Ooh,
Right,
what
yeah.
does the bestial condition do?
Makes it, let's see. The bestial condition is your character acts on primal physical impulses. Frightening things make him run. He meets aggressive threats of violence and anger. Take a -2 dice penalty to all rolls for resist frenzy or physical impulse. As well, make a -2 dice penalty to defense due to impulsive action. Any rolls to compel your character to impulsive, aggressive actions or escape achieve exceptional successes on 3 successes instead of 5. This could apply to disciplines such as Nightmare or Dominate under the right circumstances. The condition fades after a number of nights equal to the blood potency of the vampire who caused it. In this case, it was basically yourself. So it'll fade this evening. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. In the case of detachment, this is your own blood potency. Yeah. So, yeah.
Joshua
if
just
you-
smiles. Oh, sorry, continue.
If you resolve it, which requires you to damage someone's last 3 health boxes, you cannot be subject to it again for a full month. But if it just fades naturally, you can be subject to it again at any time.
Nice. He says, as he leans there, the smile is almost like, one of those almost very kind of ragged, feral-looking smiles. And he says, oh, interesting. So, you understand that an individual who would do this, who would create this drug, this narcotic, you said that you wish to reproduce reproduce the narcotic in question?
The effects that would cause the blush of life in Kindred. That could be a useful tool to allow Kindred to more blend in with society. I care not about the effects that causes the sensations. Sure.
There's a shrug.
I think with that, the sea has gone on for nearly 3 hours, so I think we're good to end that. If anybody has anything else they wish to do during Elysium?
Actually, there is a couple of things.
Is that? Yeah, if there's a few final things you wish to do, you can. But any other things you wish to do in Elysium, just contact me over the next week or so and we can run them.
Yeah,
Okay.
present it. Marcus wanting to present himself to the prince. He just basically opted out for a cigarette break. More homeopathic than anything else at this point.
It should just be said that Natalia has not said anything. She's just sat in the corner, just sitting there, minding her own business, it seems. She doesn't say anything or anything. She will, however, ask someone here, where is Kara or Tara? Because the people that person has not been presented, right?
Nope.
But other than that, Natalia's not going to say or do anything else.
Archon Koslofa will give you a dossier. It's more like a pamphlet. It's weird. It's like recruiting Kindred to uplift this revenant. It lists out Tara's skill set, her personality archetype, a lot of details about her that seem very intimate and personal. Her past life, who she used to be, her birthday, her blood type, the narrative surrounding her, like the history they give of her is like, oh, she has such a tragic backstory. You should embrace her. It also lists out her skill set. It's like a combination of like recruitment pamphlet and job description.
This is given to me.
Yes, the Archon and several of the security guards are now handing them out. Just people who are interested. Most kindred are not.
I was going to say, I will ask Kozlova to present or to give me the unconscious body of the girl I have promised to uplift. Because I gave my word.
Kozlova will tell you that she will be granted to you once she has fulfilled her purpose in hunting down hunting down her sire. Once this is done, she'll be granted to you as per the arrangement. That he will note is a very generous arrangement. And as you should pray, you should pray he who does not alter it. No, he does not actually say that, but he will say that.
I was going to say,
that is a generous arrangement.
I have killed 2 people tonight. I am not above killing a little Russian Nosferatu shithead. Don't play me tonight.
To be fair, you literally took his place. He's not exactly. He's not exactly trembling about it either, to be fair. Although it would be interesting to see the 2 would-be executioners fight each other in Elysium.
You know what? After this, I'm going to ask the prince, can the executioner be an official court position, and can I be it? Fuck that. I'm going to kill all the people.
Ah, our resident scourge. But if that is all...
I take it that we're going to do the locking horns with the Carthians and how we're going to settle them handing over their revenant another evening.
Yes, but it will occur.
Or not their revenant, there.
That was the intention, but this scene went on longer than expected, so we will...
Yeah, that's fine.
We'll end it here. Thank you, players for playing. Thank you also for watching. We know it's been a very long scene. I'm very grateful you stuck around this long. Everybody. We'll see you all next scene. Bye-bye.